This ain't Passage Malibu, and I'm not trying to take your money either. What I am trying to do is lay out a clear path for you or your loved ones to achieve sustained sobriety if traditional rehabilitation has failed you in the past. If that interests you, stick around. So you're interested in psychedelic adventure therapy? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about 4 steps I took to achieve lasting sobriety from opiates that you can follow as well. And then I'll elaborate on each step for detail. The first thing to do is get stabilized at a methadone clinic. And I'll get into why I believe the structure and support the methadone clinic provides is superior to Suboxone. The second thing to do is pick a psychedelic substance you can live with. This channel is certainly not going to source anything, and I don't want to condone recreational drug usage. However, I can't overlook the therapeutic benefits, the role that it played in my lasting sobriety. The third thing to do is plan your big adventure. Now, time duration should be a big part of this. It needs to be like any other rehabilitation situation. Think 3 to 6 months if you're trying to come off of hard drugs and you want to be successful. After you have these first 3 things squared away, there's only one thing left to do. Send it. Okay, so you're serious about getting sober and you think psychedelic adventure therapy might be for you. This is what I did, and I'm not saying it's going to work for everyone, but I do think it's a good guide to follow. Now, the first thing I think you need to do is get stabilized at a methadone clinic. You're not going to be able to focus or plan ahead to the future or save money until your brain chemistry is stabilized. And people say this can be done with Suboxone. Personally, I didn't have any luck with Suboxone. I think the chemical compound of methadone is just better. It has a longer half-life. And in addition, there is a whole structure system in place for methadone. You have to show up and talk to a counselor. They hold you accountable. And if you're really serious about getting sober, then these aren't going to seem like hoops to jump through. They're going to seem like help that you want to receive. And I got to be honest, in the beginning when I started going to the methadone clinic, it seemed like hoops for me to jump through. But I can appreciate those hoops now as help, the help that I needed. So, first things first, get stabilized. That's going to be at least a year, and that's how long it's going to take you to save and plan for this adventure as well. So after you get that taken care of, the next thing you want to do is find yourself a psychedelic substance. Now, like I said, I'm not condoning recreational drug usage here, but I can't downplay the role it played in my sobriety and continued sobriety at that. So maybe 10 years ago, you could have argued about the validity of that, but in 2023, there's a lot of evidence mounting for the benefits of psychedelics as far as therapy is concerned, as far as, substance abuse, trauma, PTSD, all of that. So I don't think there's a particular psychedelic substance that works better than the other. I think it's all about what works better for you and your biology. Also your previous experience, if you've had a bad experience with one, then maybe you should go with another. But I do think that it plays a big role, and I don't think that you should microdose, I think that you should go all the way with it. The mechanism, in my opinion, the mechanism that really works to, therapeutically help people through psychedelics, I think it's similar to what goes on with a near-death experience. If you take a big enough dose of psychedelics, you are going to feel like you had a near-death experience. It's going to scare the hell out of you. And I really think that's what's going on when you hear about someone that had a near-death experience and they flip their life around, do a 180, and start doing so much better, you know? Those types of stories in life are rare, but there's usually two common factors when you hear about those stories, and that's some near-death experience, whether it's a experience that almost killed you, or someone close to you died, or you lost someone really close to you, maybe a close relationship. And so I think that's something that psychedelics has the power to psychologically mimic. Now, after you get these first two steps taken care of, the third step is to plan your big adventure. The most important thing to consider here is duration. You want this to last at least 3 to 6 months. Now, this is personal. You know, if you've had 6-month stints in rehab before and they were unsuccessful, then maybe you want to shoot for something longer. And that's really where the methadone clinic is going to come into play. Give you the ability to plan this out long term, see it through, and save the money for it. So first, think about the time that you're going to be out there and try to get it as long as possible. You want to give yourself as much time as possible to, you know, heal past traumas, to overwrite bad habits with healthy habits, you know? So think about the time that you're gonna want to spend when you start planning this, and also think about the physical aspect. You don't want this to just be a walk in the park. I think the more physical you can keep yourself for the longer duration, I think that's also going to bring better results for substance abuse, especially. Maybe also for PTSD and childhood issues, but really for substance abuse, because it's going to jumpstart the hormonal system back into work. And that's really what's being damaged when we're doing all these drugs where our hormones don't know what's going on. And then it takes so long for them to balance back out. That's why most of us get sober for a few months and then we jump right back into it, because for a few months our hormones felt right and then they went back out of whack. So I'm not here to talk about the science of addiction. Chances are if you've been dealing with addiction, then you've heard most of the stuff I'm saying here today. I'm just trying to lay out a clear guide that, show you what I did, and it's worked for me for 4 years so far. Now, once you get 1, 2, and 3 complete, like I said earlier, all you have to do is send it. But this is more than just taking that first step and, being willing to take the journey. It's about fully embracing the journey, right? Every step of it, every hardship, everything that doesn't work out. In my personal experience in 2020, I didn't complete my through hike. I made it about halfway and then I had to stop because of a knee injury. However, I met some really amazing people on trail that took me in over the winter, and I stayed in Pennsylvania. They were also involved in AA and sobriety. It was a miracle that I met those people, and I think the universe really put them on my path for a reason. And so you have to be ready to embrace the whole situation for everything that it is, and be ready to fully give yourself to the process. You can't be focused on the destination. It's going to really be about the journey, as cliche as that might sound. Now, as I said, this was meant to be a guide for anyone who was thinking about doing something similar. I can only say that it worked for me, and I really hope that for someone else struggling, it might work for them. I realize for some people, you're going to look at this and say, this is crazy. Why would I, take some psychedelic drugs and go on a big adventure far away from home like that? And to those people, I would say, when you're deep in the depths of addiction, if you're ready to get out, you're ready and willing to do anything to get out. I was, possibly borderline suicidal when I did what I did in 2020. But like I said, I was ready to do anything it took. And I had tried everything else that people told me to do, everything that society offered us to help. So I hope this information will help someone else out there. If it just helps one other person, I feel like it'll be worthwhile to make this video. So y'all have a good one.